Dakota, introduce yourself. He's one of the security deputies here tonight. If you got a ball cap on, I'm asking you to take it off, please. He's going to say our blessing, stand, be followed by the pledge of the flag.
If y'all would, let's bow our heads in prayer. Loving God, we thank you first of all this evening to be able to gather. We thank you for life itself, and we thank you for the lives that we all have here in this room. God, each and every one of us are blessed. Father, tonight as we all gather, we are all here for the same purpose, and that's for the good of Robertson County and the good of its citizens. And so, God, we're grateful for all of those people who are here tonight, and even those who aren't, who have had a hand in making Robertson County what it is today, and for having that vision for the future. We thank you for all of their hard work. God, we thank you again for the blessings that you have given us and to our county. So as we go into this evening, let our hearts be open to you and what you have for us. Let us have open ears and open minds for all of those, again, who have put in work to be here this evening for the betterment of this community. God, we thank you for the love that you have for us, and we ask that you bless those people tonight, again, that have put so much work in, and have them to keep that vision, the vision for the people of Robertson County, for their good, and for all of the good that you have for us. And Father, we pray all of these things in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dakota. Appreciate that. Jody, did you bring extra copies of the budget to people in the audience?
There's about 11 extra copies of the budget, if anybody's interested in them.
It's in that blue thing.
The blue box over there.
Step up and help yourself while they last.
Are they online as well? Is that
Yes,
online as
ma'am.
well?
Yes, there is a PDF file online as well.
Yeah.
So if you've got your mobile phones, we've got,
Before we start, I'd like to ask anybody that's got cell phones to check these and mute them, because that deputy loves to collect them back there.
I'd be able to pass these out to the public.
Pass them around, yeah. Jody's gonna pass, we got two, information pieces. It's come straight from the state comptroller's office, comparing us to other counties about our finances and how we're sitting with the state. It's kind of hard to read, but if you look at it, it shows our expenses, our revenue, what we're putting in fund balance. Jody, you ready to start?
Yes, I was gonna explain it briefly.
Talk loud. Pull that mic down to you.
Is the mic working?
No.
Okay. I'll just try to talk a little louder. So basically, what this is, it's an overview of the fiscal health metrics, financial trends, and a comptroller budget review. And this is the first year they've ever done this. I found out today it'd been in the works for 3 years. And basically, it shows every county starting back in 2013, and it ended as of June 30th of 22. When you take a look at Robertson County, you can see where we started out a little bit lower, and the growth of the fund balances and, the revenues and expenses have come up. I believe the blue one is for your revenues, so you can see the revenues are.
Excuse me, where do we find that? Because we're all struggling to read it, and then is it?
I'm gonna pass it around one, and it's actually on Smoky Barnes.
It's on Smoky Barnes, but the comptroller didn't send me but two. I think the state's trying to save money too.
So it talks about if you have the concern on the monies you have there, and they want you to have a target. We're above the target at 52, but all the counties in the whole state are average 53. So I was explaining that there's some above it because of all this federal money coming in and some below it. And then over here on the ratio of outstanding debt so far relative to assessed value, the target is 8 and the average for counties are 3, and we're right in the middle at 5. So it's very good, positive information. As the mayor said, the fund balances were as low as 2 and 3 million about a dozen or so years ago. So I'm gonna attribute the big fund balances to all these department heads that are here. They all basically work really hard to keep their budgets as efficient and as effective as possible. We're gonna end up having 3.6 million that's gonna come back under budget. And last year we had 3.7 million come back. So basically with the department heads having a good working relationship with your budget committee and your county commissioners, they know what they need. They don't have to put it in the budget, but if they do need it, they go to the budget committee, and the way that it works, the county commissioner approves budget amendments. So it's been a very good working relationship, and I just wanted you to know I'm just actually really proud to be able to be the one that informs you all of the exact data, and it helps the county commissioners make a really good business decisions on what we should do going forward. And so far you can see they've been doing very well, and I see us continuing on that trend. Here's this extra one if you want to pass it around. So the mayor's already said I'm your finance director, Jody Stewart, and I wanted to extend my sincere thanks to the budget committee, chairman Bobby Couts, Commissioner Billy Ray Doris, Commissioner Eric Roberts, Commissioner Bob Stroud, and Commissioner Faye Stubblefield, and of course our mayor and all the department heads and everybody for getting us all this information together so we could move forward and get a budget passed here by the end of August. So I think everybody's pretty interested in the tax rate. I'm gonna go on ahead and move to that page first. It's page 13. Okay. Tax rate's a little bit more involved this year, so I'm kind of happy that our tax assessor is here, Chris Trauber. The tax rate was $2.5759 last year, and the penny was only valued at $191,000. So this year, the assessments came in much greater than this $1,992,000. You see, the assessments came in, $1 billion. The assessments came in at $3,111,000 and change. So the growth rate, I'm gonna guess, just on the assessments, would you say that was around between 55 and 60%?
60% across the board is what we've done, yes.
Chris, would you like to speak?
I can.
Well, let me say this.
Okay.
Chris Trauber, our tax assessor, has nothing to do with voting on the budget. He just delivers the news from the state, okay? So when you get ready to beat people up, don't work on Chris. All right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Don't want any workers' comp. So basically, last year at the 25759, when you multiplied the $191,000 penny value, that brought in $49,199,690 of property tax revenue. And it's important to note that property tax revenue is spread between 4 funds. Your general fund, which has basically everybody in there, your sheriff, your EMS, all your departments, and the office building, the courtrooms and everything. The solid waste fund, they get a small amount, and then the school fund, they get a funding share where we make sure we meet maintenance of effort. And then, of course, the debt service fund, where we're trying to go ahead and make sure we pay all of our debt. Our debt currently is at about 85 million. And when I started this, it was approximately 240 million to 250 million. So that's really important to see what a great job all of your county commissioners have done with actually paying the debt down. It's gonna be $1.87, and the $1.87 is gonna be multiplied by $306,000 for the value of the penny. That's went up quite a bit. So that will generate $57,222,000 worth of property tax. So that is an $8 million infusion of property tax into the county general fund, the county solid waste, the county school, and the debt service. So the general fund's gonna be getting 97 cents of the $1.87, and that's 29,682,000. Around $8 million more than last year. Your solid waste is gonna be getting 4 cents, which is 1,224,000. That's about 269,000 greater than last year. Your school system's gonna get 59 cents, which is 18,054,000. That's approximately 864,000 greater than last year. And your debt service is where they cut the funding. It's gonna get 27 cents, which is 8,262,000. And they're gonna get 1,209,690 less than last year. And that's basically because the fund balances and that have grown in debt service. And when you get to that, you'll see that we've had a big infusion from your interest. We really only believed it was gonna get a couple $100,000 in interest.
Let me drop back a minute to the tax. So the tax rate is gonna go down this year?
That's where it's confusing. Yes, it's going down because we had a reappraisal year. So the reappraisal is where you had the property values go up. And what the comptroller requires us to do is to go revenue neutral. And they originally told us that the tax rate was 1.6416. And now it's 1.6449. So that's why we're saying that you're gonna be going up to $1.87. That's the 22.5 cents that's going up, which is approximately 13.7%.
So that's, but it's gonna increase about $8 million worth of revenue. Is that right?
Generating the revenue, yes, sir.
So $8 million, that's gonna be 4% increase.
4% increase is compared.
4% increase over last year, would that be right? 6%.
So you're not comparing apples to oranges when you're trying to compare that.
Well, what I'm getting at is, what's the cost of living went up in Robertson County this year?
I'm not really 100% sure. You know, Mayor?
No, I think that's based on who you are, probably.
I think you should look at that before you start making that tax rate. Because the people you're taxing, their cost of living has went up, and now you're raising it up even more. I don't think it's went up 6%.
Well, let me,
So,
I see where this is headed. Can we let the lady finish and then I'll call for public comments? But she hadn't even started on the apartments or anything yet.
I usually end up going through and doing a summary. And I actually had a list here in an effort to help with this tax increase. So the trustee has made it to where we're gonna go on ahead and get a tax freeze increase from $40,000 that you make to $60,000. They've also put funding in the budget for a tax relief that helps when people are making lower income. Currently, the state has been doing this for 50 years and a lot of the surrounding counties do it. So this year, the county is gonna help them out by matching whatever the state does. And they also do something with the wheel tax rebate. And our trustee, she handles that in her office and gathers all the information to make certain that the people qualify. So in an effort to having the taxes being increased, there's things they're trying to do that also help the taxpayers out.
I have a question.
Yes?
On page 19 of the budget document, at the top of the page, it indicates on local property taxes, an increase year over year from 22-23 to the year 23-24 of 32.4% in local property tax and single year increase.
So you're looking on page 19?
Property tax revenue.
You're looking on page 19?
Page 19, the first local property taxes. when I look at the actual figures you have for 22, 23, and then compare it to the figure for 23, 24 budget, it's an actual increase of 32.4% in 1 year in total local property taxes. That's a huge increase, particularly with people being hit with the type of inflation that we've been faced with.
So I'll need you to look on page 21, because on page 21, there's details to that. That's not just totally the current property tax collections. It's your trustees' prior collection year, the chancery court. There's a property tax interest and penalty collections. There's payments in lieu of taxes, and there's IDB pilot funds.
That's mine.
So if you take a look on page 21, and you're looking at that top number where it says local property taxes, you have to come down to where it says total local property taxes, and you'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 revenues. On the front page, you're just looking at a summary.
I'm sorry, which line are we looking at?
So if you were talking about the 22,515,092,
Those are irrelevant numbers.
Current property tax collections is still showing like a 30% increase from 22 million to 29 million. That's a huge increase.
It is.
On line.
so what has happened is you ended up increasing that one and you took it away from the debt service. When I was just explaining it to you, you know, how I ended up telling you they took $1.2 million away from the debt service. You increased it on this particular fund where they were needing all the extra law enforcement was needing, you know, their pay plan and all that, reevaluated and everything. So yes, 8 million did go into this one fund, but when you look at the overall, the property tax rate is only being increased by 13.7%.
But you reassessed all the homes, so what you're saying is essentially that if someone paid $1,000 in taxes, they'd be paying 13% based on that, and that would be what the average would be who would pay year over year?
So correct, on a house last year, we were told the median was 186,000, and the median is now 310,000. So they were paying $1,200 on that, and now they will be paying $1,450. Is that correct, Chris?
That's correct.
So yes, it does end up going up. It goes up about $250 a year, about $20 a month on the median home.
That's about 20% though, isn't it, on the numbers you just quoted? Isn't that like over 20% increase?
So when you end up doing that, we've talked to the state comptroller, and the state comptroller is telling us how we're not comparing oranges, we're comparing oranges and apples. It's an understanding that there's a possibility some of those will be a little more than that and some will be less. Is there a way you can explain that better than myself, Chris?
Last year's reappraisals was based on a program that was completed in 2018. This year is the current 2023 reappraisal. The tax rate in 2018 forward was might as well say $2.58. So if you try to compare those two, you really are comparing apples to oranges.
Point is the huge increase.
And that the apples and oranges are coming out of our pocket.
Folks, real quick, and let's let Ms. Jody finish up. Like we said, it's gonna take a minute to get through this,
Yeah.
and then
Let me-
I'll have the opportunity to come up.
Yeah, let me just say that Robertson County, all we get is property tax. We have 10 cities where we'll get all the liquor tax and all that. All we got is property tax, and that's the only thing we can move on. Next year, we gotta have another ambulance every 10,000 people. And the one ambulance and put the staff on it is $750,000. We're spending $300,000 a month hauling the trash away from this county that's free to the citizens. But our expenses kept going up too. In 8 years, we haven't done anything.
Let her finish.
Hey, guys, let's let her get through.
Yeah, let her get through, please.
Let you
Please.
develop more
And
questions.
I'm gonna if you got questions, we'll be here as long as,
I got lots
please.
of questions about this too.
let the lady get through.
Okay, so we'll start on, we did the property tax already. And that was on page 13. I'll go on ahead and go on to page 19 because that's a summary of the biggest general fund where the largest infusion of the property tax is going. On that particular budget, the actual numbers that came out at the end of 23, the total revenues received were $42,861,360. Your total expenses were $41,552,610. So you came in more revenues than expense by $1,308,750. There's reserve funds that have to be earmarked and spent specifically for items mandated by state statute. And the ending fund balance was $17,716,160. It's going to be really important to note that your total expenses being $41 million, they came in approximately $3.6 million less than the budgeted at $45,195,865. In the budget this year, we started out last year with 356 employees. This year, there's 369 in the budget. This has been one of the biggest increases in all my 14 years doing it. 3 of them were added for your sheriff department because of some position changes. 4 of them were added because of the school resource officers added. 1 employee was added during the year for the court system when they changed hands of who was responsible for that. 2 employees were added to the drug court where they now have a mental health court and they're using the opioid abatement council funding. 3 employees were added to formerly planning and zoning, which is now development. They did lose a half an employee, and our emergency management department added a half. So that's 13, which brings us to 369 total full-time employees. The estimated revenues for 24 is $48,594,000. Estimated expenses is $48,469,000. So the revenues for one of the first times I've seen this is going to exceed the expenses by $125,000. And as the mayor was explaining, the comptroller would like to see that where your expenses and your revenues are equal. And then again, your ending fund balance is estimated to be $17,841,160. If you'll turn to page 47, that's going to be your sanitation solid waste department. And it is important to note that this year there were 5% raises in there for all county employees, sanitation and highway. So your actual revenues for 23 was $5,219,443. Your expenses were $4,353,298, and your ending fund balance is $2,555,486. Solid waste is in really good shape financially. They had a lot going on a few years back, so that's good to see their fund balance up. They're going to estimate their revenues for 24 at $5,003,000 and their expenses at $5,574,000. Ending fund balance $2,281,486, and you'll note their reserve. They're putting savings aside to be able to purchase equipment when needed. The next one is the highway fund, page 55. Again, there's 5% raises in there on that one. The total revenues in the year that we're just ended here on June 30 was $4,902,059. The expenses were $4,684,254. Their ending fund balance was $2,066,480. And you'll note that they're increasing their reserves to also help pay for if there was a case they needed another bridge. When a bridge collapsed, they had to come up with that funding. That's $600,000. In the current 24 budget, they've estimated $4,654,000 in revenue, $5,569,000 in expenses, and then the ending fund balance on this one, they have it at $1,151,480. So the next one we'll turn to, I normally would have the school director do this, but, I'll do the summary for the interim, Miss Melanie, so if you'll turn to page 61. And then she can explain to you what's in the budget if that's needed. Your actual revenues, the school fund in 23 was 139,933,38. Your expenses were 133,849,35. Your ending fund balance on that one was a phenomenal up to 30 million. I've not seen it be that big in all my years doing the budget. So, they ended up having a reserve of 707, so that ending fund balance was 29,803,381. In your 24 budget, their revenues are estimated to be 135,720,981. Expenses are estimated to be 136,912,194. And an ending fund balance after the reserve is 28,612,168. The next page would be page 81. And this is where your debt service, where the county has not incurred any debt over the last 4 years. So although the debt currently that the county has is 85 million, this debt service is in really great shape. I'm gonna say the interest earned helped us this year quite a bit. So the total revenues were 21,924,811. Your expenses are 15,332,914 with an ending fund balance of $23,660,413. Estimated budget for fiscal year 24, revenues are 19,520,000 and the expenses are 15,289,000 with an ending fund balance estimated to be 27,891,413. So the next page would be page 87. Page 87 and page 93, these items were just placed in the budget over the past couple of years. The county has a revenue source that's flowing in there into that fund. It's the county's portion of the sales tax. So the estimated revenue in 23 was 1,000,002. The estimated expenses for projects that are listed over here was 1,990,274, and their ending fund balance is estimated to be 1,236,335. The 24 budget is the same revenue, your same 1,000,002, and they're finishing up some projects that were 823,060 with an ending fund balance of 1,613,275. Page 93 is where they have the community development for your Robertson County Economic Development Board. They started a payment in lieu of taxes back in 2011. And these are funds that go in for the Robertson County Industrial Development Board. And they're the ones that come to the county commission and ask, you know, how do they spend this project funding? So they received 964,470 revenue in 23, and they didn't spend any of their expenses that they had thought for the Portland Lights or the White House Development water line. And their ending fund balance is coming in at 5,429,511. I think on the $5 million, they were requesting to possibly buy some purchases on some land. Was that correct, Mayor?
Yeah, they're talking about buying some land for an industrial park up toward White House. Right now, our industrial board has no land for industrial park or anything. They want to invest in that to help. Five is really growing, and there's a lot of people interested in putting factories there and jobs around that I-65, and our industrial board is going to try to take advantage of that. All their money comes out of motel tax. They get 3% or something. That's because people that come in and for tourism, they pretty well fund our industrial board.
So that 5 million ending fund balance, they had mentioned that they were going to require that 5 million, and then I think when they would sell in property, they might get some of the.
Get the money back.
So that's how that works. So basically, I've just went through all of the funds on the summary of it. And we haven't really went into any of the details of the budget because historically I don't do that. So. Question?
Okay, now I can open it up to the public. If you will, I would like for you to come up and state your name. This has been recorded, so we need your name and address and, yeah, and hey, if everybody here wants to speak, I'm gonna have to try to keep it down to a certain, because I think all of you could probably gonna say the same thing.
So my name is Natalie Caswell. I live at 973 Drawn Drive in Greenbrier. So far, if I'm understanding correctly, and I may not be, what she said is everybody she's mentioned had done great. They have a balance. They actually have money left over, if I'm understanding. Commissioners, everyone did their jobs. But even though there's money left over in every single department, you want to increase the taxes on an assessment that's also gone up. I think most people went up between 60 to 100,000. So we're paying more on supposedly our house being worth that much more. I have not heard what fantastic services are coming our way even for the money. If you have that money, like he said earlier, a new ambulance. Well, yeah, that sounds great. That would be very helpful to us. As far as I know, I've got notices that my water is not so good. That scares the bejesus out of me. My drinking water may not be good. I don't want to have to buy extra bottled water just to drink in my home. I have not heard one thing saying, your money, congratulations. You guys are going to have great water now. We're putting a new water treatment plant. We're going to have the power not go on and off anymore every day because we're putting in more infrastructure. If I am, and it's a burden on everybody, whether or not you make money. I hear you say, oh, well, if you don't make it, great. But even if you make it and you work super hard, it's like more and more is shoved out because you're not making any special needs circumstances. And you may be supporting other people in your family that have special needs that you don't know about. So just judging everybody on how much salary you make, I don't think is fair either because you don't know their personal circumstances. So please correct me if I'm wrong, but I have not heard yet what all this extra revenue, besides the fact that you had more to start with, because everybody did great. They have $1 million or more in every single pocket. You said, oh, there's $1 billion left over. Oh, they have 4 million. Oh, they have 5 million. What, if you may answer me, is coming our way for all the extra?
Let me just say that, number one, we're not in the utility business.
Oh, that. You get my example, though.
Yeah,
Those were just
but,
examples, sir.
You know, our first term year, we had a bridge fall in, it was $1 million, and it completely cleared the fund out of the highway department. And that's scary. You can't get insurance on bridges. High school now is $100 million. By the time you fund it, put the athletic facilities, and put the teachers in place. That's just the school. And our barn power right now, 80 million would probably knock us out. So if you don't have fund balances, you can't borrow that kind of money. And the state tells us we got to have enough money put back to run close to 6 months if everything just went zero.
Correct, but what is that fund balance? And also, usually the federal government, when a entire bridge comes, they give you a great portion of that. They don't make you pay for that 100%, generally speaking. I get that you want to have a reserve. I haven't seen the numbers on the reserve. What's in the reserve right now for those?
She just told you.
Well,
I'm sorry if I missed.
Bobby Council Chairman.
There's a couple of things. We started this year 6 million in the hole. And that was the emphasis for this. We knew this would be a tough year. And we spent a lot of time saying no, but I'll echo what Ms. Jody said. We don't look at the funds every year that our department heads. If you don't spend it, you don't get to keep it. We think that's counterproductive. If they don't spend it, it goes back in the general fund. If you want to do like other governments and say, if you don't spend it, you don't get to keep it, then we can go that route. But I think I think we've got a certain amount of trust with our department heads. They try to spend what they need, and if what they don't use, they put back in the fund. And I don't think they pad their budgets. I don't believe they do. I hear a lot of times about how people are, government is terribly inefficient and corrupt, and I don't see it in this county. I've been a commissioner for a while, and this first year I've been the chairman. But they make an effort every year to turn money back in. They try to cover their budget, and they try to turn it back in. And so, to your point, we haven't had a tax increase in 8 years. Part of the reason we didn't have to have one is because we had money come from the federal government. We had COVID money from 2 different administrations. And so we could have raised taxes a little bit at a time, but we didn't need to, because we had this money and we didn't need to do that to balance our budget. So we didn't. Now we came in, our revenues, Ms. Jody said she's been doing this 14 years, and she said twice the revenues come in less. This is one of those times.
Yes.
So she feels really guilty about it. I don't. I think that's a really good record. What we're trying to do here is keep our fund balances where we can do our work. And I understand what you're saying. You're right. One of the first things is we think there's a good chance we're going to have to add an ambulance next year. The math says that between $750,000 for that. We've tried to help our sheriff's department came to us, and I will tell you that we had long discussions with him about we've raised his budget quite a bit, and he feels he was elected. We didn't appoint him. This group elected him, and he feels in order to fulfill his oath, he needs this money to keep his department whole. And at the end, that's what we did, because we think it's important to keep it and to fund our sheriff's department. We also spent a lot of money funding our EMS. We gave them $2 million more. Is that where we're at? Somewhere in that range?
I think that was one of the requests. I want to say it was, we worked with the department head. Brant was between 400 and 600.
Because we're not.
About 500,000.
We can't pay with the rates we were paying. So we're trying to give them a raise to keep them here where when the ambulance gets called, you can come. We spent quite a bit of money on planning and zoning the new development, because I'll be honest, it needed a lot of help. Because when people come in the door, they weren't getting help. None of this money, I think, is spent frivolously, and I understand what you're saying. The taxes are going up. I will say that we pushed really hard to stay where we're at. The counties around us are all over $2, $2.20, $2.35. I think we've got that figure. You got it right here. If it matters to other counties, Southern counties, their tax rate is $2.25. Their penny's worth $641,000. Ours worth $306,000.
Yeah.
Montgomery County's $2.99 is their tax rate. Cheatham County's $259.76. We're going to be $187, and we've pushed hard to get it there where we could. We think the things we're funding are important to be funded, and maybe we're guilty about not funding it quicker. Maybe we should have done 2 or 3 cents a year and not had this lick. I was on the budget committee, but we felt like we could do it without raising for years, and this is the year that it come up, and it's unfortunate that it came up in a year when reassessments came too.
May I ask one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to be offensive. I probably don't understand a lot of the logistics. What would the picture look like if we raised, let's say, instead of 13, 4%, each year, so that people knew it was coming and could plan, and it would keep pace more with inflation? What would the picture look like for everybody? As far as, services, what do you see would happen to our community if we didn't make a huge hike and we made it slowly? That's my last question. I'm gonna let other people talk.
That's a fair question, ma'am. I think if we raised it 4 or 5 cents a year, we'd still have this many people sitting here. Some people's just against it, but I have to say, I really feel, I'm honestly telling you, Robertson County is the cheapest county to live in Middle Tennessee. That's the reason they're coming here. And I can't tell people not to sell their land, but rooftops do not pay for themselves. They do not. It's tough, but they're coming. Come on, ma'am.
Sir.
He was yeah, you need to get behind the gentleman back there. I know you're anxious to talk to us, but you're going to have to get behind him.
Hi, my name is Kathy George. I live at 4383 Secaucus Court, in Cross Plains. I have two questions. My first question is, you mentioned something about the sewer and waste department. And what I'd like to know is.
It's solid waste. It's really
Solid waste.
sanitation where you
Sanitation?
used to be a landfill, now it's a transfer station.
So
We're
it has
talking about trash.
Nothing to do with sewer.
Yeah, we're
nothing with
not,
sewer or trash?
and we have,
No, it's just trash.
yeah, trash.
Okay, so if you pay a private trash company for your pickup, then would I still see your tax on my bill?
No, ma'am.
It's a problem.
That guy that brings it to us, he has to pay because he's commercial. But we still have to pay to get that trash outside the county. And we're spending $300,000 a month for our trash that comes out of convenience centers and the cities that bring it. It's costing us that to get it back out of the county. We're carrying it all the way to Northville, Kentucky. You can't find anywhere else to carry it now.
Okay.
Trash is going to be a big problem. Yeah, we're one of the few counties in Middle Tennessee that has free trash at convenience centers. Most of them have shut them all down. And we're one of the few. In fact, when a couple of years ago, 10, we was losing money down there. But the solid waste committee has turned that thing around. The commercial people that come in, and man, you wouldn't believe the rooftops, shingles we've got the last 3 months. And we charge them, but that makes it free for everybody else. Like Springfield brings their trash free, White House, it's one of the few counties that's happening.
Well, thank you for explaining that. My other question is, how was it justified that 13% was needed for the increase? How can you explain why the number 13? Where did that come from? And what was the reason, what's that covering, that 13%? Why does the budget need that much?
Want to explain that, Bobby? You want me to?
Well, I mean,
we came in needing 6 million.
We were 6 million under when we came in. We were 6 million more expenditure than revenue this year. That's just because our revenue we had a shortfall last year at the end of the year. And then, like I said, we the sheriff's department, and he told me he'd own it, so I'm not telling you anything he don't know. He felt like he needed this to keep his department whole and to serve. We spent right at 2 million with EMS. I want to say that's a correct, close number.
Yeah, ambulance today is $300,000. We've got 2 or 3 that's got about 200,000 miles on them. Takes 2 years to get one.
And then we give a 5% raise to our employees.
So the 13% is going to be added on for next year, and then that's going to hold us for 5 years? Is that the next?
Well, we only get reassessed every 5 years. That really has nothing to do with the tax rate. The tax rate, what we were just talking about, if there's 2 or 3, is it better to raise it 2 or 3 cents every year and let everybody absorb it that way? Or is it better to do this? And I would tell you, we've had this discussion quite a bit. Would we have done better off if we'd added 2 or 3 cents every year for the last 8 years? If you do that math, if we just did 3 cents every year for the last 8 years, my math says that's 24 cents.
Yeah, I think she's asking, are you gonna raise it 13% next year?
That is not the intention. It is our hope. It is our hope.
No,
No,
you can't.
no, I mean, but based on what we think, no, ma'am, that's not the intention.
Well, like that lady had suggested, doing it little each year. And even though, sir, you indicate that we're going to have this same questions raised year after year, that's inevitable, no matter, no matter what you do. But the point is, it's how it affects our pockets.
Right. I mean,
so,
if we'd have raised it 2 or 3 cents a year, we'd be where we're at right now anyway.
So my taxes are going to go up probably $500 to $600 because I'm in a brand new subdivision. So not only did I just move in, but now you reassessed my value and it's really shot it up.
Where'd you come from?
I came from Chicago.
Did you?
Yes.
Well, welcome to Robertson County.
This beautiful country. But now I tried to save myself some taxes and now I'm right back where I started.
Don't be calling your friend Chicago and tell them to come down here. I see where you come from.
It's just a little bit easier on the pocket year after year.
Yeah, a $300,000 house, we're not talking about $22 a month.
Well, Right, but I'm not at 300,000. But my point is that there are folks here,
I ain't
here,
either,
sir. There are folks here, sir, who are barely getting by.
I know that,
It's
yes.
just, it's everywhere you go, the gasoline, the groceries, your utilities, everything's
That's-
going up. So that's a big chunk
I
for
know,
some
it's,
people
it's,
to absorb.
trust me, ma'am, I sit with mayors all over Middle Tennessee. I mean, the mayor at Rutherford County is a very conservative person, but this is his first year as a county mayor. He come out of the Capitol over there, and he said they're having to raise theirs 18%, and he's in shock. But all he has is property tax, that's it. I mean, this is happening all over Middle Tennessee, it's because people have found us. They wanted Mayberry, and if they can turn us into Chicago.
Not me, I didn't do it. Thank you. That's all my questions I
We have
have.
follow-up questions to her question, or are they going next in line?
You can just get in line, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's based on what she
You can just,
said.
you can just get in line.
Thank you, ma'am, thank you. Welcome, Robertson County.
What do you want to ask? I don't understand the $6 million deficit.
Sean Bigger, 4095 Ironwood Drive. I'm a recent transplant too, but one of them other states. My biggest question is, I applaud you guys for taking your debt down. This is great transparency, but what are you guys spending this money on? I mean, I could pick through this thing and pick it out, but I heard sheriffs, that's great. You're funding your police, not defunding them. You're replacing things, but it's kind of hard to, I see $5 million salary increases, you know, in this one budget line item. Do you have these numbers? Like, what's the difference? Like, what's this tax increase going to? So this is not a speech, this is a request for information.
So the major salaries, I think, wasn't it the sheriff department?
Yeah, I mean, 5% across the board was like, out of 20 million from the previous year or whatever it was, that's not much.
The sheriff's
$1 million.
was more than 5%, and so was EMS. He had, they had budget equities. We had some people working in the front lines and in the workhouse.
Sure, I get that. So did you give them 10%, 15%? How much of that did it?
Did you touch on that a little bit?
Just to give you a little example, today I have 29 deputies short.
Okay.
I have 10 in training, 3 on medical leave, that means 43 posts are not manned.
Now, is that budgeted? Like, if you were at full manpower, is that budgeted?
Yes, it's budgeted.
Okay, so you're actually not spending that money?
Last year, because we can't.
Yeah, hopefully you'll fill
Can't
them.
hire deputy sheriffs. People don't want to get in this line of work anymore.
Right.
You cannot pay deputy sheriffs less than Waffle House.
No, I get it, man.
You can't pay deputy sheriffs
Get
less
it.
than Walmart.
I live in Coopertown and I went to their
Yeah.
budget meeting
And
and
that's where we're at.
that was
right now.
scary.
So, yeah, it's more than, it's taking starting pay from $18.45 to $25 an hour for corrections officers, just so we can try to fill positions.
No, I get it.
Everybody here's the sheriff up here.
Plus, if you call EMS, we wouldn't be able to come to you.
No, I get it. I applaud that. That's needed. And
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to work in jail.
Sheriff's
Right.
offices and adding all these things that the sheriff would really like to see as we grow as a county. But I can't have any of that stuff if I don't have people to provide y'all service.
So the sheriff department accounts for what, like 3 million of that? 8 or so? Is that what I didn't get my calculator out.
Somewhere in that.
His budget did go up quite a bit. Yeah, if you want to look at the sheriff department budget, I think.
No, it's in here. I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah.
That's why I asked, because I saw the 2 million increase which is good. I don't, but where, do you guys have a breakout of where this 8 million is going to?
It's basically in the details of that.
I know, man. I don't want to pick, you want me to pick through all that and try to figure that out?
So basically, I think it's just inflation like everybody else.
Well, that's just it. That's just
Hey,
it.
let's everybody hold it down one at a time.
So an ambulance now, what's a new ambulance cost?
300.
2 years ago, it was
190.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Costs have gone up. Everything's gone up. I think it'd be nice to have an accounting. I mean, I get the increases, right? I mean, I'm paying way less taxes than where I came from, man. Trust me. But I'm just asking, what's an accounting of what's the difference?
Some of these departments, like solid waste, we're putting 200,000 into a fund, because the loader now they've got two loaders and both of them probably got over 6,000 hours. We don't want to have to go into fund balances and stuff and buying loaders. I'm gonna tell you, that fund balance is school system.
Yeah, I'm just saying it'd go a long way with the public if you'd be transparent as saying.
Well, sir, we are.
This month.
I know.
No, I get it, but.
I know, but
There's
hey,
no way,
you can't
there's
read
no
that,
way
you
an
sure
average
can't read the
person.
school budget.
There's no way an average person's gonna pick through this, and you guys know where the money's going, so you should be able to pick it out of your spreadsheets pretty easy, right? So that's all, I think.
It's really spread through the whole thing. I've seen the gasoline go up, the utilities went up.
I get it.
It's,
We all get it.
then
It's
if
expensive.
you even look on the property and casualty taxes, it went up 200,000 in 1 year. And it was because the properties went up with that, and then all of the, stuff that's going on with the damages.
I just think it'd be good for.
Last year, we lost 200 and some $1,000 because of Walmart.
Be easier, I'm asking now.
No, I think just a summary, you got some nice summaries in here, but, it'd be nice just a summary of, hey, man, this $8 million
Okay.
tax increase you guys are getting is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we need to, yeah.
We meet every Monday night, third Monday night of the month.
See, there's a lot that goes on in public, like, last year, we had no idea that we was going to get Walmart $270,000. We didn't even see it coming. They went through the state legislature and got their taxes lowered because they say the building's not worth as much now. And I understand Dollar General's figuring to follow them. We didn't even have that money budgeted. It's a lot of, yeah.
I will get it.
Okay, sir.
I understand you.
Say your name and address.
Paul Putman,
There you go.
3878 Turnersville Road. Now, I worked for a company, I had a budget of $250,000 a week. So I understand your budget. Our average income was over $8 million a week. What are we doing with this extra money that these departments have? I know y'all's budget is, you've been blindsided by something I'm fixing to blind you. You got this excess money left over. Is it sitting in the bank drawing 2%?
Going into fund balance.
That's what I'm getting at there. Is it sitting in the bank? Now you can get, every bank in town right now is offering 6, 7, and 13-month CDs at 5%. You ain't gotta be a rocket scientist to figure out 5%, that's some real interest. And that's $50,000 a year on $1 million. How many millions of dollars have y'all got that you didn't use last year that's sitting there?
You want to answer that?
We have it invested and it's at 5.01.
That's Kendra Shepherd, our trustee. She handles.
County's bank, she's the county's bank.
It's where?
She's the county's bank.
We have the money invested locally, a couple of different banks, and with the local government investment pool with the state. And as an average, the interest rate last month that we were drawing was 5.01, I think.
Okay, that's a good thing. Now, my next thing is kind of a complaint. We have all this money that we put into bringing businesses in, right? Trying to bring business into the county. That's gonna bite you in the butt. We've lost a bowling alley, skating rink, and a movie theater.
Springfield lost it.
County's lost it.
Well,
Whether it's in Springfield County.
65% of our people work outside the county.
Understand.
We're trying to get them to stay here and spend their money.
But here's what I'm getting at. The people you're bringing in here to bring these businesses in, the average staff that they're bringing here to run these businesses has children. What are they gonna do?
They're going to school.
At night? Now, what'd you do at night when you was in school? Come on now.
I didn't bowl.
Not sure. And that's what I'm getting at. We need to get some stuff in there.
I agree, but the county, hey, inside the city limits, yes, we need stuff for kids to do, but, the county don't own businesses. We don't have stuff like that. You got to rezone out in agriculture for Ball County, that ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
I'm just saying,
That's what I tried to tell you earlier.
We gotta step forward and
that
do
the
it.
city limits is getting the revenue off that. We don't get revenue off.
So you think we should do things to encourage that, is what I understand you saying, right? You think we should do things to encourage
Bowling alleys?
I think something, I get what he's saying.
Yeah, I get what he's saying.
Springfield is getting the benefit of more from these businesses coming in than we are, and we're giving them money to do it.
No.
We're not Asheville.
No.
It's on your line item that you printed out.
Listen, the industrial board invest in tourism because I'm big on tourism. I want people to come in here, spend their money, and I'm gonna buy when they leave. I'm big on that. They invest on tourism and trying to get jobs into Robertson County. I've never seen them give money to build a bowling alley. That's, but if somebody comes in and gonna hire so many people, they can get a break for a little while till they get started. You know, it's, they can do programs like that that helps with the tax assessors in part of it.
That's well and good.
But,
But what I'm saying is we need to put leverage on the cities, all the cities.
well, we got 10 of them and I meet with the mayors quarterly and, I love them all, but it's like herding cats. Cause they all got different ideas about how they want to grow. And, we're gonna be here all night if we start talking about bowling alleys. I appreciate it, sir. Come on up, sir. I didn't see that coming.
Howdy.
How you doing?
I'm good. My name is Bill Clark. I live at 3285 Valley View Court. And I've been a resident of Robertson County since 1986. When I bought my house, it was appraised, well, actually, I bought it for $60,000. With this latest appraisal, it went up to $286,700. That's quite an increase of 378%. Now, I'm not selling my house. So what does it mean? It means more money for the county. That's what it means. Doesn't mean money for me, doesn't mean anything to my house's worth, because my house's worth from an appraisal, not an assessment. In the meantime, Robertson County population grew 11.7% from 2011 to 2021, an additional 1,200% from then to the first of this year. So that total is 74,700, which includes a lot of you from other places, new developments, which increases our tax base, I'm sorry. So the tax base has gotten higher. So of course it means more money. And I'm on Social Security as my wife is. I have a very small pension. I make $3,000 more a year than I qualify for relief on my property tax. Mr. Tropper, thank you. So anyway, what am I paying for? Since 1986, I have yet to see a Robertson County deputy patrol my street. Never. Never. The one time I called for help, my daughter was assaulted next door. Took them over 30 minutes to get there. My neighbor's house burnt down. We don't have a fire department. It was the volunteer fire department that came and sprayed water on the remains. My road, it has sections that were in disrepair. We called. They finally came out this year. Very nice job. Got it all straightened out. But there's cracks in it now. 2 months. I called because my culvert going under the road. We had a big storm and all the trash went up into the culvert, stopped it up, called them. Man, next day they were out. Guess what they did? Pulled it all there, left it on my lawn. Great. That's what I'm paying for. Where's my raise? Y'all want to raise? You want to raise my taxes? Where's my raise? That's all I got to say.
Anybody else?
Actually, I would like to speak. Of course, leave it up to Rachel to come over something. Rachel Coffin, 7150 Newcut Road, and I'm a transplant since 1988. I came about the same time you did, and I also bought a $60,000 home then. We went to live here for 5 years and fell in love with the town. We fell in love with the Springfield that we came in at the time. And this growth is great for the community. Personally, for me, it's a little hard to take because we moved here from Nashville to come to a wonderful, sleepy little town where your next door neighbor gave you a key to the house, where you know just about everybody and they know what's going on with your family. And I was probably also the first Asian that moved here back in 80-something. And can't tell you how many times I had little old guys that been overseas try to speak another language to me, but we love the town and we still love the town. We actually moved to Florida and came back because we love it so much. But now all of our friends are transplants. The town's growing, it's booming, and I'm thinking the same thing the last gentleman is thinking. We have all these new houses that are being built, and they're gonna be paying all kinds of taxes. What we're hearing that we're needing to, but we're paying already. And by the way, we are on fixed income. My husband worked way too long and he finally retired. And when I told him, actually finally retired in July. So 6 weeks. And we actually set our budget for not making plans for the tax increase. And now we're gonna have a rather large increase if this is actually going through. One of us has gotta go back to work. How many of you would like to see your mom and dad after working all their lives retiring and then having to go back to work because the tax is going up so much? And I don't know, some of you don't know me in here. I see faces that I know. You know that I'm a penny pinching, coupon clipping when you can clip them, and I shop sales, I buy used things. It's kind of like not any, and we are generous with things that need to be generous with. So that money is going to end up coming out of somebody else's pocket. They may actually need a hand. And do we have in our numbers projections of the newcomers that will be paying taxes on the new homes that we're seeing going up?
Ma'am,
Yes or no?
I can tell you they're predicting Robertson County to grow like almost 30%.
What in next, Franklin?
Yeah. Oh, yes. And I'm, like I said, rooftops don't make you money. They, you know, I'll tell you what, I had 3 kids and it cost $8,000 a year now to fund the child in school a year. And I've added up 36 years for the 3 kids. And I ain't so sure I've paid the county back yet. I mean, I know it's people, and the people that moved in here, they say we got cheaper taxes, but the ones that's moving in here, I just be honest with you, this growth is, we got to meet this growth and, it's expensive. The sheriff's got to have more people. We got to have another ambulance. We're fixing to have to build a school next year. And of course, we got to have 4% of your population be incarcerated at all times, 4%. As we grow, and the census that we got, it was way off. We didn't fill it out. It was during COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have people moving in, people moving out.
And the people that didn't fill it out should have been some of the people that it would have been advantage to them, you know?
It would have been beneficial.
So,
So am I like thinking this all wrong that?
no, you're not, ma'am. Hey, my
taxes.
taxes went up too.
But I mean, the question is, are we expecting more new money from new homes with the new
Not from
property?
homes, I'd say the people that's in the restaurants business and all that, they love to see all these homes. You know, to get a nice steakhouse now, you gotta at least figure on 2 meals,
Oh, yes.
and that's what it takes to get them. So,
And those things, those places going up too. In fact, we're not even eating out as much as often.
okay.
So is this 13% thing,
Is it gonna be every year? No, ma'am.
no, are we still looking at it? Or is it proposed and that's why
It's
we're having?
proposed, it has to go in front of the county commission, ma'am.
So we get to kind of come in and listen to y'all talk about it in the future?
Monday nights, our meeting at 7:00.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Next.
My name's John Steffen. I'm a transplant 8 years ago. Live on 1003 Wood Lane. One of these fine commissioners, I'm not going to point fingers, is my next door neighbor. So I'm kind of get some information on when I need it. I want to thank Jody. I called her yesterday and I called her again today requesting information. And she was very forward as far as providing what I was looking for. I think I'm an engineer by trade. I don't do finances. I hate them. I think my wife actually pays the bills. I just bring home the money. I think a lot of some of the issues that we're having is the cost of the dollar. It's not what it's worth anymore. A lot of that comes from the federal government. It has nothing to do with the county. The county just has to do what they have to work with. The way I understand it, I'm trying to understand it, explain it the way the certified tax rate. So anytime there's a reassessment, the county sends that information to the state. The state, basically, the State Board of Equalization works up the new tax rate so that the revenue that's coming in based on the new assessment is the same as the previous year. So what the county wants to do is raise that rate 13%. So it was 2.57, and then it basically got lowered to 1.66. But because the assessment's higher, that revenue is the same, but then the county needs to do the improvements. I spent the entire day today reading through the budget from start to finish. I actually took the numbers from 2023 and 2024, made my own spreadsheet, put the numbers side by side to see the increase, the percentage increase for each line item. And I went through, there were some things that didn't make sense, but reading back through, I think the opioid thing, where the state's giving us like 380,000, that kind of threw off one of the numbers that I didn't understand. The big things that I saw in the budget, there's 5% increase across the board. I understand that the sheriff's needing extra money, you know, on the bottom, on the top. Nobody wants to be a police officer. I follow a lot of people on YouTube. They used to be police officers, they don't do it anymore. But 5% across the board, ambulance service and sheriff. Other than that, and there's a few piddly things that I could argue in a budget meeting that doesn't need to be argued here. But for the most part, I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Like I said, I'm an engineer, not a finance guy, so I look at numbers all day, but not the dollars amounts. But I don't see anything crooked as far as what the county's trying to do. And I understand from fixed income, it sucks. I really do. I know I moved here 8 years ago. I was a transplant from Indiana. I'm sure, you know, my neighbor to the other side and then my commissioner on the other side, you know, they've been around here for a long time. And, you know, I was the Yankee. Nobody liked me.
We like everybody.
We got used to it.
It took a couple years. It took a couple years to help him on his house and he helped me on mine. So, that's all I want to say. I mean.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Thank you, sir.
The one point that this year it's 42,000 is where you get a tax break. What is it this year?
Yes, tax relief is at 33,460, tax freeze is at 40,520. The next year, the freeze is gonna go to 60.
Well, we'll go to 60,000. So, I mean, we can't raise it this year, we would, to help the ones that are, but it takes a year to go to it, right?
Sean Haney, 6169 Highway 76. You're talking about the school that's going to be coming up. We need for all the people that are moving in. We saw the TCAT scores that came out. 3rd grade, 3rd to 8th grade English proficiency, and it's not good. We can't do anything about it till the next election for that. There's no accountability for the board, right now. If they're doing a poor job, the schools are not producing, we're still giving them 135 million that they use for whatever they think they need to for the school, itemized line items and all that. But they're performing, the products they're putting out are at 31%, 28%. There's gotta be some way to have some overview from the commission over the board so that the money is being spent wisely in the right places so that those numbers come up for our kids for the future.
Well, there's not.
There's not.
There's not.
That's what you elect a school board member for.
They're elected officials.
We give them the money and the state gives them the money. The state gives them a lot more than we do. And, we can't say how they spend it.
But you say how much they get.
Well, we have to.
Tell them, Bobby, we have to make some effort.
So we give, it's 136, I think is what their budget is this year, right? That's close. We do 28% now this year.
Yeah, close to it.
We pay 28% of that, 28 to 30% of what that comes from us.
And that's state mandated as well.
Yeah.
There's like a formula the state gives you, and then they tell you that we're gonna give them $86 million. And then the county gave them a certain amount this past year in the budget, and then they're required by law to give them that same amount in the 24 budget. So it's kind of got rules and restrictions on it. It's from the State Department of Education.
So what I will tell you is you're right. Don't wait to hold them accountable at the ballot box. And that's what everyone, I'm glad people are here. I think this is great that people care enough. I mean, we've got 76,000 people. How many people voted the last election? Not enough. 7,000 people voted. So what?
I think with our schools too, we're having trouble getting teachers in there, period. What we've done now is we've taken the money, and Melanie, I think, can help me on this. I believe we've raised it to where every teacher comes in, it's like $50,000 now, just to try to get more teachers in our schools.
And hopefully better.
That's the governor's goal is.
How much is a new school, you said?
Hey, if you do a high school with all facilities, for the girls and softball and soccer and everything, it's gonna be by the land, it's $100 million.
So how much did the board just turn down, and how much pressure are the commissioners putting on the board for turning down a school? A free charter school?
You talking about the charter school?
Yeah, they're gonna pay for it, a public school.
Yes.
That would definitely help the numbers.
I agree.
That's all I have.
Well, that was a school board decision.
But if they're not doing their job, and we know we got them till they're reelected, till the next election, we have to put pressure on them. And this is the most powerful body of us. They're elected to represent us.
So how would you like us to put pressure on them? I'm just asking. I'd like to know.
Show up at every meeting of theirs. You know, there's gotta be a way. They're representing you. They're raising all our kids. And they're not doing a great job. Not the teachers, I'm just saying the product that we're putting out is failing the kids.
I disagree with that.
31%.
My wife is on that school board. She and the school board is doing an excellent job with the dollars they have to spend. We operate under the Financial Act of 1981. They have an independent financial structure like we do. All we can do is fund the dollars, and that's mostly mandated by the federal and state government. I know each one of them. They're doing an excellent job. If you don't think so, you run for the board and become a board member and see what you get.
I was there helping some of them get elected in the last election.
Thank you.
And I'm wondering why they turned down a free school. That's my point.
I'm not going to get into charter school situation.
You're not on the board.
I'm not.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do, guys. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, ma'am.
My name is Joyce Freeman, and I live on 2000 Woodwind Circle in Coopertown. I'm sorry, my voice, I have a lot of allergies. I just want to say one thing about the schools, because it doesn't matter how much money you give them. The biggest problem that I've seen is the way the children are not being disciplined. I had a granddaughter that was a teacher, and she lasted for 3 years, and then she quit because she had been spit on, kicked, and everything else. And I know that's a really big problem, and it needs to be addressed somehow. And I don't know who
Thank you,
needs
ma'am.
to address that.
I appreciate you. You know, when I first ran for mayor, I told folks that we can spend all the money we have to on concrete, whatever, But if mom and dad don't do their job at night, we're probably fighting a hard battle.
Amen.
And, when you're a teacher and you got an hour with kids, you got some that are up here that really want to try to succeed, and you're trying some down here that just want to disrupt. And you got to try to, well, you're gonna bring them down to try to pull them up, and you ain't got but an hour to do it before another bunch of kids come in. It's a tough job. I couldn't teach. I couldn't drive a school bus.
I got an answer for it.
Yeah, if I had to drive a school bus, I'd probably be in the sheriff's, I'd be one of his clients. Mr. Clark, you will speak again?
I do.
I remember your name. Ain't you impressed?
Thank you. I've got one thing. When y'all propose a tax, it goes through the county newspaper, I understand. I'd like to make a proposal that instead of doing that, to send a mail out like y'all do when you tell us we have a tax. That way, more people can be involved, rather than the few that might get a paper on a certain week. So, you know, I've been burned twice now by not buying a newspaper, but I sure get my tax notices in the mail.
Well, it's sad to say, like the gentleman about the bowling alley, you would think this county would have a good radio station. I don't know why we don't.
Well, you got mail.
And,
you know, you mail us our taxes. Mail us a wheel tax.
We can mail it and every year that we have something mailed out, we have our department heads come and say it costs us much money to mail it, but that's just another expense, and I'm not arguing that wouldn't be a good way to do it, and we can talk about that. I mean, we can mail it out.
I would very like at least that much for y'all to consider, because counting on us to buy a newspaper to find out an announcement about a tax increase sucks. It really does.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
You're welcome.
Hey, if nobody else, I'd like to maybe entertain a motion that, hey, I appreciate everybody coming out.
Got a motion to adjourn.
Well, we're not in adjournment yet, but appreciate y'all coming out. I'm gonna tell you, these county commissioners do a lot of work. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say something real quick. My name is Anna Costello. I live at 3005 Wharf Road in Coopertown. And I just want to say apples or oranges, doesn't really matter to any of us sitting here. It's money coming out of our pockets. For older people, people who are retired, it can be devastating.
Yes, ma'am.
And yeah, you may be close to getting the help, but if you're that far gone, then you're in pretty bad shape. So it's at 13%. I understand you guys need the money. We need the money. Other people need the money. And for every person sitting here, there's probably 100 more that would be if they could have come. So all I'm asking is that you consider lowering the rate.
Yes, ma'am.
Lowering that 13%, because it's just too much.
Yes, ma'am.
We can't afford it. And it would be sad to see people in Robertson County losing their properties that they worked for, moved here to come, left Chicago, left California because they were abused by their governments paying such high taxes. It's just too much. So, thank you.
Suggest a way to get the news out is what if we had, like at even the public libraries, have a Zoom meeting where people could sit in the library or places closer to their homes, because like I said, maybe not everybody can drive here. So how can we help those people or people that do not have computer access? If they're in like community centers, senior centers, libraries, and they set up like a projector and someone had a computer, maybe you could have more participation. As a suggestion, it wouldn't cost more money at all.
Thank you.
Vera Denker, 4834 Beards Chapel Road, Springfield. And just to piggyback on the comment you just made, is there a way, if we proceed with the tax hike, to somehow protect the most vulnerable of our citizens? Is there a way that maybe the tax hike could impact them less? You know, I'd like you to consider that along with maybe tiered, you know, over time. The other thing that I don't understand is this seems to be a really well-run organization and commissioners. And as we were going through your reports, in each case virtually, you didn't spend the money that you had to spend. In some cases you spent more, but overall you had some step-ups, right? that are earning interest. Is that fair? So I'm still not understanding the $6 million that you mentioned. How did that play out in light of what we heard about the budget? Was that reflected somewhere in those numbers, or is that something else?
Reflected in last year's budget. When we, at the end of the year, we just had a shortfall of revenue at the end of the year.
So, but overall, you have money to set aside in a slush fund that's earning interest.
So you can call it a slush fund.
I wish you wouldn't call it slush fund.
I'm sorry, there's probably a better word for it.
My wife may call it one, but
Taxpayer dollars that weren't spent, that's earning interest. Was the 6 million accounted for in the budget?
Yes.
Okay, so we weren't short 6 million really,
Yes,
at the end of the day.
yes, ma'am. If you said you run a business, if you have a budget, if it's a shortfall, it's a shortfall. Now, I understand if you have money set aside.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. It's two different, it's two different.
okay, so you're saying then you want an additional 18% increase above the baseline budget from which you actually had dollars that you could invest.
Well, where did the 6 million come from? Where'd you make it up?
I'm done.
Where'd you make it up?
Well, what we didn't, but we just we had a shortfall that much.
Right.
Coming into the next year. If the budget had been exactly the same, we had a shortfall of 6 million.
So you're basically trying to make your revenues and your expenses equal, so you don't end up in a problem, kind of like the way you manage your own.
Answer her question, because she's wondering where you had a $6 million deficit. Well,
The $6 million.
how are you making yourself whole?
The $6 million deficit was what we were faced if we come into the budget with the same revenue and the same budget we had this coming year.
okay. Like I say, I appreciate everybody coming out. I'm gonna shut the public hearing down, and commissioners, I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you.